Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to tell you how to get into private equity, what kind of profiles are selected by global private equity firms. I've been receiving this query a lot that how can someone get into global PE fund, and that's what I'm going to cover today. So firstly we need to understand that you can enter into these global PE firms at two levels. One is at the entry level and then post qualification or post graduation, which is also at post MBA level. At an entry level, you need to understand who you are currently, what's your current profile. So let's say if you are someone who is a CA, who comes from a finance background and you have recently qualified CA. So usually global PE firms don't hire CA freshers as such. Usually the kind of CAs they hire is, let's say you worked as a consultant in McKinsey, BCG or Bain. You have made that profile. And maybe not just MBB consulting, but let's say even the Big Four consulting, EY, Parthenon, Deloitte Consulting, etc. There are less chances, but at least such CVs are shortlisted at the first instance. Or maybe after CA, you have joined some investment banking firm like Kotak Investment Banking, JP Morgan, etc. If you have made consulting or IB profile, then there are good chances that your CV would be shortlisted. And the experience they look for is like 1 to 1.5 years. And the reason for the same is you are so new and you have also seen the corporate environment, so they feel that it would be good to teach you new things and you would be more adaptable to learning. Now let's say you are someone from engineering background. So then they can hire freshers as well. That's the advantage that IITians have. They do hire directly from IIT Bombay, maybe IIT Delhi as well. And then what they do is they are required to go through 1 year more pre-MBA program. So let's say someone who is coming from consulting, he or she might have 2 to 3 year MBA, pre-MBA role. But then those people who are coming directly from the college, like directly from IIT Bombay or IIT Delhi, then they'll get like 3 to 4 year pre-MBA role. So that's one thing. Now besides that, let's say you are not a CA, you are not an engineer, or let's say you are not an IITian, then what kind of profiles can make you shortlisted for this global PE funds, right? So then let's say you have done graduation from a decent college. Let's say you have done your graduation from something like Xavier College. DU of course would be one of the great place to be at. And let's say if you have done from a decent college, let's say NM, uske baad let's say you have done investment banking, maybe a boutique investment banking firm. You have done boutique consulting firm and you have built that 3 to 4 years of good experience, or maybe 2 to 3 years. And besides that, you have some extracurricular achievements, some spike in your CV that differentiates you from others. Then also you can be shortlisted by these global PE funds. Basically what they look is you have some prior finance or consulting experience and then you have some spike in your CV, so that you come across as a very different, smart, and someone who is like flexible and adaptable to the situation. Talking about post MBA roles, so let's say you have done your MBA from IIM A, B, C, K and Accelerate, etc. So then there is a chance that they'll come directly into your campus and you might be shortlisted by these global PE funds. At least that's what I have seen so far. And of course post MBA also, let's say after MBA you have joined a domestic PE fund, and then you might get an opportunity to get into a global PE fund. So overall they look for someone who has a good pedigree of academic qualification, then professional qualification and a good experience. Now a lot of people apply to these global PE funds. It's like they hire once in a year and they receive like 400 to 500 of CVs. And they end up hiring only 1 or 2 people in a cycle. That's the kind of funnel which is there for these global PE funds. Now, in order to get your CV shortlisted by these firms, it's not just that you are submitting, you just put your information on a page and you submit a CV. No. And the process of selecting these CVs is really rigorous because everyone has such a competitive profile. So it's not that if you have good academics, then your CV could be shortlisted, or just because you are from a very Like let's say if you're from MBB, your CV would be shortlisted. No, it is across. So things you should consider. I'm just taking the worst case scenario. Let's say your academics is not good, average, 60 to 70%. But then in your professional qualification, in your college, you have scored great GPA. So the kind of filters, which are usually applied. So if they're hiring someone directly from college, one of the filter would be the GPA should be more than 9 or more than 8. So that's like the first filter. If you have 6.5, 7.5, 7.9, your CV is not shortlisted, right? So if you're someone who aspired to be someone working in a global PE fund, you should actually have good academics, good scores, so that some of the prima facie filters, they just get checked. Then comes the professional experience, which is a very important part. You would have heard that doesn't matter how many marks did you score, what was your rank, but eventually what matters after you complete your education is what kind of work you have done, what kind of things you are learning every day. So once your academic qualification, professional qualification is done, the section in the CV which talks about the work done or the experience gained matters a lot. Usually the mistake that everyone does is they just write the things that they have done. So for example, let's say someone would have written, implemented a cost transformation program with so and so company. This is such a basic statement, like what do someone make out of it? But if you write it in a way that led a cost transformation program or implemented a cost transformation program which resulted in 5 to 6x savings for the clients, so then there is an impact. You did something and there was a result out of it. So you have to prove that whatever you have done has created an impact, and not just on the work side, on the extracurricular side as well. So for example, let's say you are someone very good at public speaking and you have hosted a national conference or maybe like been a speaker in national conference. So you should write it in a way that invited as a guest speaker or like hosted the national conference for 5 times or maybe won this speech competition. You have to show the impact that you have created. If you are someone very good at leadership skills, let's say you used to participate a lot in debates or declamations, etc., you should just highlight it. Have won 5 to 6 debates in the college or maybe national level. You should highlight at which level. If it is national level, international level, then you should actually bold it. Bolding the keywords in the CV is really, really important. Otherwise, imagine, you are someone who has 400 to 500 CVs to go through and someone has not bolded anything. So for you, every word has equal importance and you have like 10-20 seconds or like 30-40 seconds and you just didn't notice anything impactful. So the CV is just rejected. So you have to highlight, bold the impactful things that you have done. So that is up to the CV. Once the CV is shortlisted, usually there are 5 to 6 rounds. There might be more than this, which PE firms usually go through. Initial rounds, and there is not much technical here. There is technical here, but that would also depend on your background. Let's say if you are an engineer, so they'll not ask you much questions about some really technical things in finance. Like they'll not ask you some of the financial management formulas, which they also know that you won't have read. But they would ask you some of the things that you have read and you can solve a few problems with the logic. Basically, they want to test you are logical, you have good aptitude, you have the personality that they're looking for, and some of the soft skills that they're looking for. So, in the initial round, they might just be asking you what have you done in your previous job, what all projects have you worked upon in your college, what was your contribution in it, were you part of any societies. So basically, they are judging your entire personality. That let's say if you would have participated in a lot of societies, it means you're someone who likes to be in the leadership, who likes to take initiative. And let's say in your previous organization, if you have been in charge of certain event, then it means that you have a personality outside of work as well. You are a dynamic personality. So all these things really matter. For the interviews, I would say don't fake anything. They are very smart people, and think of it like everyone can fake anything. They can write swimming champion in the CV and no one is gonna test it in the interview. But there would be one moment, there might be a few questions which you would be asked and you won't be able to answer, and then the other person will realize that you would have written a fake thing in the CV. So don't do anything fake. Be you. Showcase your personality, and honestly, if you are not someone made for the job, then it's good for you as well. That interview knows that it's good for both the sides, so that everyone gets what they want. Towards the end of the interview and like throughout the interview exercise, you might be asked to do certain exercise which might include financial models, some of the case solving that you might have done in consulting. Case solving is basically you would be given a problem statement. Let's say a company is going through losses for the last 3 years and you have to diagnose the reason, and then you have to ask certain questions from the interviewer. You both would exchange the inputs and finally would arrive to a conclusion. So it is more like a case study based interview. Might ask you for financial modeling if you're someone from a finance background. Even sometimes someone not from a finance background can also be asked to do some like basic level financial modeling, which you can do with logics and your Excel skills. So yeah, that's about the interview. Eventually, in the last round, which many firms call as a super day, there would be like 5 to 10 people. There might be less than that, and then eventually they might end up selecting 1, 2, or 3. I haven't seen more than 3, but depends on the vacancies in the company. So to summarize, you need to have good CV so that it catches the eyes of the recruiter. Secondly, you have to have some spikes, some extracurriculars which differentiates you from others. Third, throughout the rounds, be you. Don't fake anything. As far as possible, try to showcase things which really makes you different from others and which gives them the reason why should they select you and not someone else. And fourth, very good communication skills is what they expect. So work on your communication skills every day. And it's not that you are very good at it now, so you can just stop learning it. Communication is a continuous process and you should focus on improving it every single day. So that's all for this video. If you find this video helpful, then let me know in the comments and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye. And all the best for your PE interview.